Welcome to the Vet Farm Network podcast, produced by the American VetFarm Network, a program of At Ease Orchard. The American VetFarm Network is supported through a USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture 2501 grant. Today, we're joined by Chuck Michaels and Jesse Teel from Alabama Cooperative Extension's Operation Grow program. Chuck is a retired Air Force veteran, a horticulture student at Auburn University, and a summer intern with Operation Grow. Jesse's the coordinator of Operation Grow and has a background in public horticulture, garden education and management, and university sustainability. We'll be speaking with Chuck about his path into horticulture, what he's learning from veteran farmers in Alabama, and how Operation Grow supports veterans interested in agriculture. Chuck and Jesse, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for having us.
Jesse, for listeners who might not be familiar with it, what is Operation Grow and how does the program help veterans who are interested in farming?
Sure. So Operation Grow is an Alabama extension program that grew out of the Beginning Farmer program. Alabama Extension for many years has had a Beginning Farmer program that helped to educate people coming into agriculture and create essentially this curated educational material that they could access, tools and trainings as well. And there was a lot of interest, even from the beginning, to help veterans who are interested in agriculture. And so the Alabama Department of Veteran Affairs and the Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries provided funding to basically build out Operation Grow that now focuses on training and networking and ongoing support specifically for veterans.
And Chuck, tell us a little bit about what brought you from the Air Force into your interest in horticulture and what led you to this summer project focused on veteran farmers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I grew up in Alabama, Geneva County, down in a small town, Chancellor, and joined the Air Force. I retired in 2018, and then I went back to work civil service. And then in 2023, due to some health issues and pretty much I just had enough. I left federal service, and I did not know at that point. It was a real low time in my life, and I was just looking, and I basically went back to my roots. You know, grew up on a farm. My family, uncles and all were row crop farmers, and then my dad always had something going around the house, whether it be a couple of head of cattle or a big old garden that I had to take care of. And back then, I really didn't appreciate it or like it, and I never thought I would go back to it. But when I was rethinking life, I was a big golfer at first, or was, and then I went. I got an internship in Georgia working with a superintendent up there, and my plan was to cut grass and play golf. It became more than that. The superintendent was a really smart man, and he was like, "Hey, I think you could probably do a little better than this." And he saw that I was real curious, so him and a couple other folks there were like, "Hey, you should maybe be a superintendent." I came back to Auburn in 2024, the turf grass management program, so kind of like a row crop type situation. But once I was here, I got through taking classes and through mentorship and stuff, I ended up in horticulture, fruit and vegetable production. I've had a couple internships. Well, this is my second internship at Auburn. My first was with Pedals from the Past, Dr. Arlie Powell, who's up there. He's a genius. Him and his son Jason run that. And so last summer I was their harvest manager for blueberries and blackberries. That was a rough one. It's tough, but survived that. Learned a lot, and I really appreciate both of them for pouring into me for that. And then this summer, wanted to do more, and I saw I really love Extension's mission. of bringing research and information to the people. And then in particular, Jesse, as he runs Operation Grow, specifically for the veteran farmers. And I've got a heart for those guys and gals that are struggling, kind of like I did, to kind of find their way and make new beginnings. So that's how I'm here, and I'm really enjoying it, and I appreciate Jesse for kind of taking me under his wing and allowing me this opportunity to do that. So hopefully I wasn't too bad, too long.
That's perfect. So what is your horticultural classes been like? I mean, did you start with the turf program and do some classes in that and then just transition more into the fruit and produce
Yes.
side?
Yeah. So my background is in business. So I'm
Okay.
a business guy. So I've got a undergrad in management, and then a master's in business administration. So when I came back to the university, I knew I had to have the science, and so I started taking uh, crop science. That was one of my first classes, and through that class right there, really it brought me into, like, just got me really curious on other things and what my end user was going, who that was going to be. And that, and then of course I retook biology and a bunch of the other things as an undergraduate. And my plan was just to get an undergraduate degree and just try to do something. I really didn't, after I switched from turfgrass, I really didn't uh, know what I could do, because, we all look at farming, and it really is, there are a lot of barriers to entry, just to being a producer on that. And then just through classes, plant propagation, hydroponics, those type of classes kind of got me to where I'm at. And it was all based on just a sense of wonder. And that was another, a shout out to another instructor I got, Dr. Willer Foshi. He is such an amazing man. He's a veteran, and he is really, I guess, he felt sorry for me probably, but he really inspired me to kind of move it forward. And I think a lot of him as I go forward. And he's a professor. He's a farmer. He's a veteran. He's got his own. He's got a lot of things going, and I look at him as a role model. So I don't know if that answered your
Yeah,
questions.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Um, I guess as you've been speaking with veteran farmers for both of you, what resources seem to be helping them the most, and where are some gaps, especially in Alabama or the Southeast, that you feel are kind of unmet needs right now?
Well, I think that's we're still in development with that. So, I mean, we've had a little over 300 people sign up and for our program, and some of the questions that we ask them sort of focus on that. What are your training needs? What are your barriers, and that kind of thing. And the veteran community is as diverse as the civilian community. So we get a lot of different answers with that. The resources that have helped, I think, the most are really just us being here to help direct them. That's been a big thing that seems to be somewhat lacking. Many people come in and they just have a lot of questions, and they need somebody to help answer some of those questions, to just sit down and talk through it with them. And even though our office, my background and everything, I have some expertise in growing crops or managing crop production. I think for them, the best thing that I can do is point them in the right direction to get help from experts, and to put them in contact with people that really are more in the dirt and working with other farmers and aware of their local needs, because we're located in Auburn. We're a statewide program. So I can't speak to every location's specific resources and the people that are around them. Over the last year, especially what I've seen, we just wrapped up one of our projects, and we had 4 partner agencies or groups. Really, one was the North Alabama Agriplex, and we had one down south that is another nonprofit organization that hosted a bunch of events. We had an independent farmer helping out, and then we have another nonprofit that's really just one person, and she's sort of an expert in writing grants. And so they all had their different expertise, and they were available through our project. They were partners, and veterans could reach out to them, and they were hosting their own events. And so I see that as being key moving forward, that we let other groups, or we empower other groups to connect with veterans in their area. And, and then we kind of come together and can report on it basically and share what is working and what isn't working. But I don't know that I've seen, the silver bullet that's really helped a lot. It seems to be such a diverse need from veterans that we will need to sort of push forward in a lot of different fronts, and again, just develop the network further, and hopefully we can meet people where they are.
Absolutely. I know that's what I've been noticing, doing this type of work for a while, is that with our vet farm network, is like, as a veteran service provider, you're having a compass, and you're, listening to what needs a veteran future farmer has, or someone who's currently farming, and kind of find their true north for them, because it's going to look for everybody. But our job, because we're able to spend the day connecting with each other and learning those resources and being proactive, and then being able to trickle down that information to a busy veteran who doesn't want to sift through all of it. And we can kind of create that personalized menu of like, here's what's out there. You want to be an oyster farmer, or you want to be a Christmas tree farmer, here's where I think, you should go next. Like, none of us are going to probably have all the answers, but if we're able to kind of, piggyback on each other's ideas, and get people those local services, because farming is a hyper local endeavor, and they've got to find a neighbor who can help them and share equipment if theirs breaks down, or there's just a lot that you need on that one-to-one personal level. I was wondering about, Alabama has such a rich military history and veteran community around Huntsville and Redstone Arsenal. Do you feel like that creates any unique opportunities or needs when you're working with veterans who are interested in learning about farming?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, since I've been here, Huntsville is a hot spot for sure for veterans specifically, and veteran programming. And just recently, the Alabama Department of Veteran Affairs announced that they're opening another cemetery up there. So that's Alabama's only second veteran cemetery, and it's going to be 150 acres, and they're not going to open the whole thing at once, and so they're looking to partner on that, and we're not sure what that looks like yet, but they want to work with Extension in that area with the land to some capacity, and so there's that. Huntsville itself is just exploding, and so there's a lot of opportunity up there. I think it's a catch-22, because we've seen, as a state, we've seen a lot of the farmland up there go to development. And so that's kind of a challenge, as a lot of specialty crops and row crops the land is being sold for housing developments. But it also creates opportunities, I think, for especially beginning farmers who are willing to work in the in-between spaces, the kind of finding those niche areas, maybe smaller specialty crops that are highly profitable. And obviously the amount of people and money it creates a lot of opportunity. But I don't know that we have found a method or a plan for that so much, other than it seems like the future is bright for the Huntsville area, for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, there's definitely still a veteran focus up there and a real strong community that we would like to empower. So
Absolutely. And y'all have just incredible farmers market there too, which is pretty amazing. And I love the idea that it's an evening. There's an evening market, which is a little bit more unusual in the farmers market world, which is awesome if you have veterans who are working off the farm jobs
right.
and on hot summer evenings where you don't necessarily want to be on a Saturday at noon getting
Absolutely.
out in the sun. As a farmer, I very much appreciate that. So if Knoxville people are listening, do that. Um, Chuck, do you have anything to add about, I guess, from your point of view as a veteran and, someone who has worked with extension? Some of our listeners are around the country and not going to be able to work with Jesse specifically, because I know Jesse would do a wonderful job with this. But how would you recommend someone kind of takes that first step to reach out to extension? Like if they're a little bit not sure what the process would look like, what do you recommend for making that phone call or bringing to that first meeting to work with extension or finding out about what extension would offer? What do you kind of recommend in that first step to get people to connect with their state extension?
I think the beauty of extension in Alabama is we're represented, or extension is represented in all 67 counties. First step I would do, and we all know this, it's all about relationships. Of course, if you're in Alabama, of course, hey, Jesse's the central office, but he's got a team of a huge team, and they're spread out. And so make relationships locally, and then allow them to let them know what you're trying to get after, and try to drill down and be specific. Uh, Agriculture is a big, it's huge, and there's so many pieces and parts to it. And we get to be very specific, people can help you out a lot better if they know exactly what you're trying to get at. And spend some time thinking about what you want to do and understand what you're getting into. I think a lot of people don't. They have good ideas about farming, but they really don't understand it. And I think the local agents, and they can take you to hey, we've got this guy over here, and he's doing this. Why don't you come over and visit this farm? Or and that's too, like, reach out to local farmers, and maybe go work for a summer. Get a taste of, if you haven't tasted it, get a taste of it. you might like what it tastes like, or maybe that's not, and that's okay. But there's still other opportunities that you can go for. So relationship building, local relationships, tapping in, understanding what you want to know, tapping into resources. I think that's, for me, that's the way to go. And I'll just say too, like, that's kind of in some way happened to me. Like, I'm touching in on research right now. I've got a project going on, and just give a shout out to Dr. Jay Spears over here at Auburn too. He's helping me out a lot with the research I got going on. We're looking at local produce, and how could we get that into mainstream grocery stores? Maybe have injection points for the easy buttons of California and Florida that control a lot of stuff. But we love them, but we love our local stuff too. So
Amen.
shout out
For
to
sure.
you.
Yeah, and Jesse, what do you think from working with having those first calls with farmers,
Sure.
not necessarily just veteran farmers, but what would you recommend for someone wanting to work with extension?
Yeah. I mean, to echo a little bit what Chuck said, the county system, that really is our superpower. I feel like, is having an office in every single county. But I do remind people that, it's a service agency. Every county is a little different, and that's important to us, that each county office is different. And sometimes one county office might have a pretty good feel for what beginning farmers need to be doing, and other times they don't, because maybe you're in a county where there's just not a lot of beginning farmers coming to the office, to ask for help. And so that's not something that they deal with a lot. And so you might have to jump a county over, or call 3 or 4 counties around you, like, so that it's really important to remember that. And also that the way extension operates is that we put an office in every county, but not every county has the same agents. And so we have regional agents. And for us, we work mostly with commercial horticulture agents. And a lot of people starting out don't know what commercial horticulture means. So they might go to the extension website and you're looking through your list of people and they don't even know that commercial horticulture is who they're looking for to talk about tomatoes. That's so what Chuck is saying is right. You walk in, have an idea of what your goal is, and you might ask that office and say, like, I'm interested in tomatoes, but I haven't really started yet. So I need to take a few steps back of, where do I start? And to find that answer, they might have to direct you again to a different office, or your county agent, you might have to give them a call and set up an appointment for them to come out. And it might take a little while. So I think with farming, if you're starting out and coming into it, just know that the patient and persistent farmer wins out, usually, pretty much always, right? And so that's true with extension too. Be patient, be persistent. Don't call them once and say, well, they didn't answer, and then move on. Like, get connected, find the people. They're out there. They just might not be right at your fingertips. So you might have to work a little bit. And again, that's kind of where we come in our office, is that I'm always here and to take and field questions. And we only have so many agents to cover the whole state. And so if I can get a better feel for what it is that you need and help you define your need, then I can push you on to somebody that can help you a little bit better than I can, that's in your area. But yeah, be patient, be persistent, get connected, start developing those relationships early.
Absolutely. And that tenacity, I think, is really important. That's what we've seen, especially moving farms. Every extension specialist is going to have their own niche. And so like our local one doesn't know about silvopasture and regenerative farming practices, which is fine. But the cool thing is there is an extension person outside of Chattanooga who does, and who knows, is familiar with different NRCS offerings, but we have to kind of reach out, or if we ever want to have equipment, our county doesn't do those lending kind of affordable rental programs, but a county over does have a cedar, and they've been very welcoming to allow us outsiders in the county next door the ability to rent it. So I think that's a really big thing, is that if you have this dream for whatever enterprise it is, to not give up on it, while still being receptive. If someone says, I don't know, this is, maybe you got to tweak your numbers a little bit, but I do think you got to just keep hunting around, because it is so relationship based with extension. As human beings, we're going to find some people that we hit it out of the park with, and other people who are not going to advocate for us. So yeah, just keep calling. And I do think extension is an incredible service, and unfortunately not enough people are aware of it, I think, especially when you're in more of the homesteading, just kind of starting out phase. It's a resource there that a lot of people haven't taken advantage of. So where would, and we'll put it in the show notes, but where would someone who's listening in Alabama find out more information about your extension, and specifically Operation Grow? And if you have any upcoming events or anything in the next year or so that people should keep on their radar?
Yeah, most stuff can be found online. I think that's kind of the place to start these days. We tried to make ourselves as visible as we can and available online as possible. So my information's out there if you search Operation Grow, and you got to add Alabama in there because the veteran community, it seems to have some tendencies of naming things really similar names. And so we have a boot camp every year. We're looking at increasing that and having more boot camps per year, but we haven't put those to date yet. So we just had our last one in May. And so we'll publish that once we know when the next ones are. If not anything else, we'll have another one next May. But Yeah, you can find all of that online. Again, if you're in Alabama, go to your extension office, identify yourself as a veteran. They'll probably pass you along to our office, give you my contact information, and tell you to call or email. So I think that's the place to start. Other events that our office have planned, nothing right now is on the calendar until the fall, I think, which we have an online networking event, but I don't think we have a specific date for that. So yeah, we're in a bit of a rebuilding phase and in between with a lot of our planning stuff, but we'll be publishing those dates pretty soon and getting those on our website.
And Chuck, where would someone eventually, once you're finished with this study for local food hubs, where would they be able to read that? Will that be something available if somebody wants to reach out to you and glean some of the ideas that you're working on with this?
So one thing I've quickly learned, the academic setting it's taken a little longer just to go through some of the academic rigor that's in place. So it's still I've got everything set for interviews. I got my proposal and I've got a lot of information already, but going through publishing and review boards. So I can't really say anything about it right now as far as
Well,
release date.
you'll have to send it to us, and maybe we can do an interview.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best learned things that you've figured out in this project. So you have to send me.
I think there will be at least an article maybe on the extension website or something.
Awesome.
Once he's done with the project. I think we could get that out there.
That would be awesome. I'd love to read it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Great. Well, Chuck and Jesse, thank you so much for joining us and sharing more about veteran ag in Alabama and the work that's happening through Operation Grow. We'll include links to Operation Grow, Alabama Cooperative Extension, and the other resources discussed today in the show notes. Our next VetFarm Network Live, which is online, we do it through Zoom. It's pretty much like an office hours, is going to be held on July 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to be focusing on Christmas tree farming, which I'm really excited about, kind of from a wholesale model to also a U-cut agritourism piece. We're going to have time for questions and conversation, and registration information will be also available in our show notes. You can find more conversations, events, and resources for veterans in ag through the American VetFarm Network. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Kate.